Welcome to the Mesonet Weather Report. I'm Wes Lee. This past week was definitely a chilly one, with most places spending several consecutive days below freezing. It is interesting to look at soil temperature information during extreme cold spells. Mesonet has temperature sensors at 4 depths, 2, 4, 10, and 24 inches below ground at each site under a sod cover. There is also a sensor at 4 inches under a chemically treated bare soil. It tends to be the sensor that registers the coldest soil temperatures in winter. Here is the soil temperatures under the bare soil on Tuesday as the cold front moved through the state. You might wonder how cold our Oklahoma soils can get in wintertime. Remember last February when we set so many cold temperature records? This early morning Valentine's map from last year shows bare 4-inch freezing soil temperatures across most of the state. Soil temperatures could have dropped further if it wasn't for having an insulating snow cover that fell. A little research shows that January 2010 had much cooler soils. Here you see all but a handful of sites were well below freezing at this depth. How much difference does the sod make? On this map of the same date, time, and depth, but with a sod cover, there were several degrees of insulation value given by the sod. Now here's Gary with some wintertime moisture maps.
Thanks, Wes, and good morning, everyone. Well, we had another powerful winter storm come through the state, and we're not quite sure yet what the impacts to the drought will be. However, we can take a look at that newest drought monitor map and see where we're at. Well, once again, the most impressive improvements have been across far eastern Oklahoma, really the eastern 1/3 to 1/4 of the state, where we had a little bit of improvement due to the last winter storm. Now, this winter storm also impacted eastern Oklahoma quite significantly, so at least expect some of those improvements over that area once again next week. Let's take a look at that rainfall over the last 30 days from the Oklahoma Mesonet. We do see at least much of the state has now had at least an inch of rainfall over that last 30-day period. Certainly not saying a lot, but compared to what we've had over the last 6 months, with endless supplies of less than normal rainfall, we're at least catching up a little bit thanks to these winter storms. Now, parts of the state are still quite parched, namely the northwestern quarter of the state, especially out into the Oklahoma Panhandle and down into west central Oklahoma. Generally less than an inch, and in some cases less than a 1/4 inch for those parts. That shows up quite well on the percent of normal rainfall map, again over that last 30-day period. Lots of yellows and oranges, and even those deep reds up into the northwestern corner of the state, signifying less than normal rainfall amounts. But we do have patches across eastern Oklahoma and also parts of western Oklahoma that have seen a little bit more than normal. So again, a little bit of a improvement than what we've seen over these last few months. And that consecutive days with less than a 1/4 inch of rainfall map, again, we are starting to shrink that area. Now it's confined mostly to the far western Oklahoma, a little bit up there in north central Oklahoma, and a little bit of an oddity down there, down in southeastern, south central Oklahoma. But we are starting to see some improvement in these maps. And that's really all we can hope for, is continued improvement, especially as we go into spring, and hopefully we can start to get some more beneficial rainfalls as we start to go into that spring severe weather season. That's it for this time. We'll see you next time on the Mesonet Weather Report.